Welcome to Momentum Monday. Today is January 1st, 2024. Happy New Year, everyone. Howard, do you have
What's up, buddy?
do you have any New Year's resolutions?
Yeah, I think I talked about it a little bit. On Trends with Friends. My resolution is to cut down. I mean, life is good, so I mean, we're talking about little things, but it's just going to be a continued try and refocus on some nutrition and adding some years to my life with just being a little more conscious of some of my nutritious and fitness decisions. But I plan it's going to be a busy year. I got a lot on the plate. What about you?
I don't have any specific resolutions, just, keep doing what I'm doing.
Yeah, for me, there's only so many hours in the day, and I'm indexing mostly, so I love the markets and follow them, but I don't really have to be at a screen. And so my only real hobby has been cycling and fitness, which cycling takes up a lot of time. So I'm going to cut that by like 2/3, focus on some more on weights and some trainer, and then some golf. Just get back into it with my son, who's a great player. So you only have so many hours to do so many things, but
Can we expect any fasting from you?
yeah, I'm pretty much when I'm in a rhythm at home and not traveling, I'm an intermittent. For years, I've been, 8 or 9 p.m. until noon or 2 the next day, intermittent fasting. That's how I've managed to it's keep it.
Very slim. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the market. Do you expect like a fasting year or just another strong year, considering it's an election year?
Yeah, I can't predict. I mean, listen, I wrote a post today. 3 people that I have made a fortune don't need to make predictions. If you go to my blog, howardlindzon.com, Fred Wilson, Om Malik, and Andy Kessler, they've all made their own fortunes in different ways in tech, in healthcare, and all are super optimistic about, Apple Vision Pro for photography and video, movies and streaming, and AI for healthcare, and Web3, AI meets crypto, obviously trust. As AI becomes more important, we forget, but as machines take over, the decentralized wallets and stuff become more important. So with the Bitcoin ETF definitely happening, it's not if, but when. That brings liquidity to this market. So I don't know where the markets are going to go, but like the rate hike post SPAC/bad IPO Web2 ZERP bubble has popped. And I think the biggest effect was in the IPOs and in the private markets. I do love this IPO ETF. I've been talking about it for weeks here, but because of the lack of supply, you went from massive supply in 2021 to like no supply the last 2 years. So the companies that get through this trough, are going to do great. So we've seen a few of them. So, forgetting price prediction, I'm super bullish. But at the same time, it's not everything's going to work. All right. So
You're bullish on innovation in general.
bullish on innovation. I'm bullish on I'm bullish on, the same thing won't work. And the smart people have moved on to the idea that, unless you're investing in things that truly are revolutionary, the business that you're backing better get to cash flow break even much sooner, because there's just not going to be money for that business if it's not. That's the innovation that matters the most, is that the people have gone through another bubble, and those that have survived and kept their gains are now going to be working with people that understand this new reality versus everybody doing the same thing and betting on the future without any conscious behavior of getting to profitability.
All right, good points. You still think that profitability will matter, even though the market is expecting interest rates to gradually decline over the next 3 years?
Yeah, because this thing is, because you're competing against 5%, you still get 5.3% in Vanguard money market. So if I'm not going to invest in a profitable business and with the best people, you've been burned. So, people don't react so fast to these changes in rates. And by the way, mortgage rates still 6.5, 7.5%, and prices still exorbitantly, high. So people got to invest in themselves, right? And so that's a bullish thing too.
But
People,
you're still thinking that biotech is
yeah. I'm long some biotech here, the XBI, for a couple of weeks, around 80, and it's kind of my spec play. JC, I just feel the other spec plays. I'm not playing China, even though it seems like everybody says you should own Baba right here. And I'm not in solar. And it seems like solar would be the one that's interesting if I understood it better, because if rates come down, these businesses that have survived should benefit from rates coming
they're
down.
highly leveraged. Yes. So basically, at the beginning of every new year, there are two line of thoughts. One is that the same trends will continue, like the momentum version, like AI, maybe NVIDIA, AMD. And the other is that at least at the beginning of a new year, you see a huge bounce in the sectors that significantly underperformed in the previous year. And you already mentioned them. China is one of them, and the other one is solar and kind of biotech, even though biotech had a decent bounce in the past couple of months. But definitely China finished near the multi-year lows. Other than Baba, which um, seem to be, they're owned by the government. They seem to be attacked by so many other smaller companies for their monopolistic position. I personally have a small position in Baidu right now, like Baidu calls, just because when you buy options, your downside is limited to the total amount of the premium you bought. So it's much easier in terms of stops. So we'll see if we see a rotation of that kind. But at the same time, I also own some NVIDIA, which is, the best performing big tech stock from last year, and it's kind of setting up in a tight range near its all-time high here. So do you have any
My
specific?
favorite company, just because I love the CEO and they're winning. Everybody's coming after them, no doubt. So that's why the stock's kind of going sideways. But I still think they're going to surprise people because, as Fred Wilson and Noam Malik and Vision Pro, the chips for gaming, for crypto, for AI, NVIDIA is still the arms dealer there. And their margins are incredible. Everybody's playing catch up. So the end of this cycle is going to be ugly for the chip companies and then great for the application layer. But right now, I think you still got to own SMH NVIDIA if I was going to speculate on indexes outside the QQQ and XLK, it's SMH and Biotech. Because they all benefit from what AI is happening. I don't need China because I'm betting on like the mood of Z and what he feels like doing. It doesn't feel like it feels too manipulated at the top. And I just don't need to gamble in that way. I'd rather understand a little bit directionally what my options are. But the semiconductor index,
Do
it's
you have any
fascinating.
specific place in the semiconductors?
Well, it's fascinating to me because it's still cyclical, but there's semiconductors and everything we do all day that within the cyclical index, there's just constant growth happening, right? So overall, it's a supply demand, but it's still the best performing
So
index.
it's up, what, 8 times since 20?
Yeah, it's not like this is a new idea. But at the same time, the semiconductors are in everything. Sorry, Rachel just walked in. It's the technical pattern's still great, and semiconductors are in pretty much ubiquitous in everything we do. But sorry, Ivan, I interrupted you.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah. So in one of your latest posts, you mentioned something about that you believe that trends like luxury and degeneracy are going to remain popular. Do you have any individual names that you're playing them with?
Well, I think we talked about, I have that index that I set up with Apple. I mean, at the top of degeneracy comes NVIDIA, Apple, the arms dealers to the degenerate economy, which is NVIDIA, Apple, Google, right? One that I'm considering for this year, if it was easy to add to my index, would be Solana, because Solana is the blockchain that the degenerates are using in the metaverse or in the decentralized world, right? Because all the gamers, NFTs, all the wallets, all the money flow, all the trading is the Solana blockchain, right? So that's a degenerate play. DraftKings continues to be a degenerate play. Coinbase is probably the king of degenerate because they're the market maker on all this. The other degenerate play that's not public is Citadel. Maybe Virtu would be a degenerate, play because they're kind of like a public version. Forget the VIRTU, maybe? No, I forget how to spell it. But they're kind of like a Citadel. So, degeneracy to me is not just a negative term. Yeah, that's it, Virtu Financial. I don't follow it around, and I'm just saying, yeah, CBOE is probably the king of the degenerate play, and then and CME as well, and they both have been doing well. So you can see that people are playing, right? It's not just gambling; it's playing. They've got the phone in their hand. Odds are being made. There's games on all the time. There's discussions about games. In a universe where people have endless free time, the degenerate economy will flourish. Same with luxury. As I've been talking about forever, luxury is in the eye of the beholders. A luxury brand to you may be a volleyball brand that you use, or I'm not sure if you're passionate about any luxury brands, but it could mean Lulu to some people. It can mean Aloe. It can be whatever your hobby is. There's luxury brands within those hobbies, and I believe the king of this is kind of is France, and Hermes, LVMH, but there's a lot of American brands that sell $300 or $400 products that are considered luxury brands. So you don't have to spend $2,000 on an item. So in a world of haves and have-nots, and this bifurcation of wealth, luxury is the other category that's super interesting. Remember, Apple's the king of luxury products.
Do you own any French stocks?
No, but the CAC 40, I think I forget, is at all-time highs. So
EWQ, yeah, let's see.
yeah.
Yeah, close to.
Well, that's the ETF. The CAC 40 is at all-time highs, and 5 of the companies in the CAC 40, the biggest 5 companies are fashion companies.
Okay.
So it's really driven. Like France is not known for anything other than that, and their 5 biggest companies are that.
High taxes and expensive luxury items, basically.
No, but they're exporting that, right? So France, it's not just them making it, that's a high margin export for them around the world. So it's really their Intel or their Apple. The problem with it is for them is scale, right? So you're not going to get these massive moves in the index because these companies are big, but they're constantly having to reinvent the wheel versus Apple, which has high margins because they invent once and distribute forever. So it's not like I'm saying rush out to buy. And Ferrari is a luxury brand as well. But anyways, what are you looking at? I mean, you can see it. Most charts look pretty good, if not.
I mean, there are quite a few extended stocks that I wouldn't really chase here. There are not as many setups from a swing trading perspective to chase at the beginning of the year. So the market could use a little bit of a shakeout, pullback to just see better entries in terms of risk to reward. And as of right now, I'm already mentioned, I'm long some Baidu calls, I'm long some NVIDIA calls. There are a few other setups that are kind of looking alluring, like, you know, Four, which is like a payment company. Maybe some of the casinos are also kind of setting up, even though they're still below their 200-day moving average, even the Chinese one, MLCO. So
Okay.
nothing really that exciting at the beginning of the year, because as I said, way too many stocks are extended, and I think they can use some consolidation. You already mentioned solar. I think First Solar, SEDG are kind of looking interesting, even though they've been huge laggards from last year. If they can see some momentum, and then there are some interesting biotech plays. I mean, last week we had that company, Cytec. They reported the results of their latest study of like a life-saving drug. I know people that are alive because of their similar drug, and this one is supposedly better. So this one could be a leader, even though it's unprofitable
Okay.
right now. So it's near
Yeah,
all-time.
I think as we go into the new year, listen, you brought up a good point. There's going to be new trends, and there's always going to be stocks that are up 200-300%. But all you can go with right now is what was working, what trends are working, and so we've gone through those ad nauseum. Generally, this kind of strength 12 months out. Ryan Dietrich talks about this all the time. If you could, get you call it like there's not, it's 100 years of data, and there's only maybe 6 or 7 times this has happened where the market's been this strong over the last 3-4 months, this much kind of all-time high activity. But a year out, off the small data set, markets have generally done very well. The volatility, if I were to make a bet on one thing with the elections coming, volatility will increase. So I just, if the markets were flat to up 10%, that would be a fantastic year. But markets never do what everybody's expecting. So,
Yeah, good point. Typically, people are super bullish when the previous year was super strong, and vice versa. How last year so many people were bearish after a down year.
yeah.
There's a lot of
Like I
research.
said, the price action's good, but the people that really have been quiet, right? And we've all been kind of
Excited, but they're not traders. Like, they're
You're not
long-term
traders. I'm just
investors
saying
and thinkers.
they're
Yeah.
coming off the bench. They have nothing to promote. They're just excited about tech.
Okay.
And you know what I'm saying? Like, AI is not a straight line. There's going to be so much regulation. There's going to be so many lawsuits. As New York Times has sued OpenAI. Like, whose data? Are they? Who's entitled to all this content and data? So it's not going to be a smooth line. But this is the next big thing.
Yeah, Microsoft is looking constructively here, setting up new consulting guys. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they gained $1 trillion in market cap last year.
All right, Howard. I think it was a great catch up, and thank you. See you next week.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Bye.